Well, we as in Grey Parrot, there is one developer that's essentially me, and founder as well. I used to have a co-founder, but
Yeah, it happens.
we had to let her go. But I still use the term we a lot because it's no longer an individual. I'm doing this as a venture to actually run it in a sustainable way as a business.
So what does it mean?
It means developing a good enough business model that can at least keep the lights on to start with, and eventually actually generate some profits with which we can use to develop other games.
So what is the business model, if I can ask?
Sure. So we are starting off with two, so ads and in-app purchases. Ads are still responsible for a good number of a good amount of revenue that's generated. With ads, however, we want to do it in a respectful way. Aside from the fact that that's the right thing to do, trends seem to show that people feel, when people feel in control of their ad viewing experience, they're more likely to view an ad to completion. So we're gravitating more towards reward-based ads as opposed to just forcing ads onto their screens all the time. With regards to in-app purchases, there's actually a variety of content that's available within the game, mostly around the boards that you can play with. So you essentially can go in and choose, you'd be started off with 2 free boards. And then you can have a bunch of additions. So every board is unique in its own way. It comes with its own set of pebbles and its its own small environment to go with it. And so you can preview and then buy. These are all free currently because I'm testing, but ideally we want to be able to put price tags on them. Now you can buy them not with money but with cowries. So this is the in-game currency, and so we want people to be able to play and use their earned currency to buy the game, to buy the boards, or they can simply buy the calories directly without having to play, and then use those calories to buy the boards in the game.
So depending on the board, it deals with a certain set of rules and a certain area.
Well, yes and no. So all of these boards that we see, you can use these boards to play any of the rules that exist. So whether you're playing Oware or Abapa or Bonenspiel, which is what's played in Germany, I think, or Aliguli Mane, which is played in South India, you can use any of these boards. We want to make it possible to use any board to play anywhere. And the idea is I want it to also be a sort of a cultural exchange, if you will. These are actual real boards that are used in different parts of the world. So it would be interesting to take like the board that's used in South India and play a game that's played in Africa, just so people learn while they play. The key differences between One Mancala and Oware 3D is just options. Oware 3D was basically limited to one type of rule that you could play, which was basically the Oware game that's played in West Africa. There are actually 2 variants that are played in West Africa, and both are available in One Mancala. One Mancala, unlike Oware 3D, actually has a variety of options. You can choose between multiple boards that are available, some free and some are on sale. You don't have to buy with actual cash. You can just play through the game and continue to earn calories, and you can use those calories to buy the boards, or you can simply buy calories with cash and buy boards in the game. There are about 9 boards on display, and you can choose from any of the 9. But outside of the boards, you can actually do much more. You can also choose from a variety of rules. There are currently a total of 9 different rules that are played across the world, from Southeast Asia all the way down to West Africa. Regardless of the style you play in, you have a total of 4 different levels of AIs that you can play against. And each of them comes with a very unique playstyle, a unique set of strategies with which you can play. We actually encourage players to explore playstyles outside of the ones that they are comfortable with. So if you're a West African who's used to playing Abapa, you probably want to check out
Sunga from Southeast Asia, or Kongak. Those are all very interesting kinds of rules that you can play, or even Spiel, which is also played in the Baltic regions. It has actually been interesting working on this game because as you work on it, you realize that it's not played just in the parts of the world that you thought they were available in, but it's played across different parts of the world, and it's played in a myriad of different ways. The whole objective of creating this game was to have an amalgamation of all the different ways in which this game is played around the world. So no matter where you come from around the world, you can play the game and you can enjoy it pretty much the way you know how to, or even explore new ones. The options really are yours. There are a couple of other modes that you can play other than the single player mode, which you play with the 4 levels of difficulty. You can also play with, you can play in challenge mode. What that is for every set of rules, for every rule, so let's say if you're playing Spiel or Abapa, you have a total of 48 different challenge sets that you can play, and each of them comes with a set of objectives. So what you want to do is to complete those objectives, and if you're able to complete the objectives, you get all of the stars for that particular challenge, and then you move on to the next one, and you have progression that way. As I said, there's 48 of these for each rule, so if there are a total of 9 rules, that means there are 9 times 48 challenges that you can go through. Now, not all of them will be available at launch. We'll make a couple hundred available, but over time, we'll be rolling out more of the challenges in challenge mode. The last mode that there is as well is the online multiplayer mode, and what this basically allows you to do is to play online with challengers who are also available online who are playing the game. This presents some interesting opportunities for players to be able to play against each other.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different rules that you can essentially choose. What we want to be able to do is once the game is launched in a locality, we want to be able to geolocate you and say, oh, you're playing from this part of the world, you probably know this one, so we'll automatically choose that for you. But we want people to also explore and play games that are not available in their regions as well. So we have incentives for that. So there are all these achievements that say, play this game and earn these points, play that game and earn those points, because we want people to learn as well as they play through the game. So the idea to establish traction is first, approach them using the familiar. Let them play what they know, but encourage them to be curious and play other variants. And we want to do that by using achievements and also by enabling them to play online with other people in the world.
The selection of the eight, 9 different ways of playing. Did you do this selection according of the reactions you had from the metrics you got? Oh no.
So it was partly that informed it, but most was based on research around the popularity of the different variants. All of these are ancient, like 1900s and prior to that. But the selection was mainly done based on the popularity of the different variants that exist. Because again, the idea here is to gain traction with different settlements that know how to play all these different versions, and even in some cases play competitively in tournaments. And so starting from there and getting the community excited by showing them what they already know is the way we want to go. However, we, on a technical level, we design the architecture in such a way that it is easy to add new rules whenever we choose to do so. So we don't want to be found in the same situation that we were in the previous game where, we put this out there, people download it and they say, oh yeah, I know a different variant of this game, but you don't have it. We want to be able to tell the community, hey, if you can get 100 people to like your post, we can add it. And right now, on the average, it takes about 30 minutes to add a new rule. Um, so we
Yeah.
made it easy enough for ourselves to add new rules so that we can react to those requests as soon as they come through, and we can satisfy that audience, but also take advantage of a new market.
Why for you was it important to do to create a 3D game from a traditional game?
I've been asked a few times, especially on mobile, because you're really stressing your hardware just to, you know, show 3D visuals. There are two reasons. One is because the reaction on our initial 3D game, which was mostly by chance that it ended up being 3D, and also by the fact that we wanted it to be authentic. The reaction there was so overwhelmingly positive that we figured that people actually like to see this game in 3D, and so that's what has informed this next version that we're working on.
What is the average age of your?
That's been hard to gauge, to be honest. But with the little data that we have, we are looking at 25, about 25 thereabout. So people who are 25 up onto 30, that's about the biggest demographic that we saw in the time that we had worked with Oware 3D. We don't know what this looks like yet because it's not been out in the wild, but we expect a similar average demographic. It's actually it's played widely across different age groups, which is also something that works well in our favor, because for the first time we were hearing things like, from adults who would say, I don't have any mobile game on my phone, but I play this because this is something I used to play as a child. So that's been interesting to hear, and that's something that we want to double down on and capitalize on and say, okay, well, if there is this demographic of people who don't even like to play games, we can actually reach out to them and advertise to them, and maybe this is something they would enjoy playing for nostalgic reasons. We're going after. We want to be able to tell rich African stories and talk about African culture just using games, because I have learned growing up and loving games that it's just the most amazing way to spread culture and to spread stories, even more so than books and TV. But not a lot of people agree with me when I say that. But anyways, I think so. And so that's what we're doing. So this next app, the dance app, is to project African dance culture to the rest of the world, both ancient and modern. But we want to also turn it into a social experience because we want people to be able to put together these dances and share them with friends.
So it will be like a African dance revolution, or no, not at all?
Yeah, well, we want people to be creative. Part of what we're doing, both with this game and with subsequent games, is we want people to feel that they have the power to create with our tools. So we're not just creating a game that is just going to be in your hand that you play with, but we want you to get creative with the game itself. Some of the subsequent versions, thank you very much. Some of the subsequent versions that are going to come out of this will allow people to create their own rules, for instance, and play with friends. But for the dance app, for instance, we also want people to be able to string together different dances and just, slap a song on it and share with their friends and say.
So how would it work?
Okay, without going into too much detail.
Yeah.
You basically have an avatar, which you customize. And once you have that avatar, you can create a setting for them, or you can put them in an AR space. So AR is like augmented reality, like on your coffee table or whatever. And there's a library of dances, some of which are free, some of which are paid. And you simply just drag and drop them onto a track like you would with a video editing software and hit play. It should automatically sync with whatever song track that you have by measuring the BPM and syncing the dance movements to those songs. The dance movements, one of the big algorithmic challenges that we would have to face is also being able to seamlessly transition from one dance movement to the next. But we think we've got that nailed, just in terms of how on a high level it's going to be implemented. But once you're able to do that, the next step is just simply share your choreography or share your dance video. And that
Okay,
would
so
also
you film
enable...
yourself while dancing?
No, not at
No.
all. Not yet. That's eventually if we're able to figure out the technology for that, because that involves some machine learning and motion capture bits that we've not quite figured out all yet. What we want to be able to do is to have a library of dances, and people can just drag and drop them in whatever pattern that they wish to have those, and put any track that they want to from their own mobile devices, and share that with their friends, and share it with the world, and share it on social media, and see how many likes they get from that.